Hey guys, what's going on? Anthony here with Pistons Talk. Hope you guys are having a great day so far. Before we do jump into today's video, I need a favor from you guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 3,000 subscribers before the end of the year. But in today's video, wanted to talk to you guys about this BleacherReport.com article. I thought it was a really fun article we could talk about. They have possible targets for your Detroit Pistons to trade for during the trading deadline season. And these are two shooting guards that I think some of you guys were pretty high on in last year's draft and Cade Cunningham's draft. So we're going to get straight into it. It says the tank is on in the Motor City with Cade Cunningham headed under the knife for season-ending surgery, per ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. Detroit can shift focus fully towards the future if it wasn't there already. The Pistons should pounce on the opportunity to add assets. Shipping out Bojan Bogdanovic for the best draft picks available is a no-brainer, but everyone who isn't a clear-cut member of this long-term nucleus should be up for grabs. Even Saddiq Bey is reportedly gettable for the right price, per The Athletic's James Edwards III. Beyond draft picks, Detroit should try kicking the tires on stalling out potential undervaluing prospects. Would the Wizards entertain a Davis trade after picking up 10th overall this year? Have the Hornets seen enough to wash their hands of Bouknight's last year number 11 pick? Those are the kind of questions the front office should be asking. So after reading that section of Bleacher Report's article about potential trade targets for your Detroit Pistons, I do have some final thoughts, and we're going to start with the draft picks. Now, we have talked about Bojan Bogdanovic a couple times this week. We talked about Noel this week. We even talked about Saddiq Bey. We didn't talk about Alec Burks yet, but I'm sure I will be talking about him over the next month and a half because the deadline does end in February. But here's my thing. I think the Detroit Pistons hang on to Alec Burks and Bojan. I think that they'll listen to offers for Saddiq Bey. If they do get a good offer, they'll probably flip him. I think Noel is getting traded regardless. I think that he's just a player right now that is not getting a whole lot of playing time with the Pistons, and they've both are at an understanding that they want to move on, and they're trying to find the best trade package for Noel in the meantime. I think he will be traded probably first, if I did have to guess. That's just kind of my take on the draft pick section of this article. Now, it does sound easy to just, flip everyone and try to get, the most draft picks because you're a rebuilding team. But I have said on previous podcasts with Lance, like, eventually you're going to have to start finding foundation pieces. And I do think Burks and Bojan are veterans that can help this team possibly, push for the playoffs next season. And I'd much rather keep them than trade for draft picks that I don't really know what are going to turn into. Like, we all saw the Lakers package. It was Patrick Beverley and a protected first round pick. Like, if those are the trade packages that the Pistons are possibly getting from other teams, I would rather just keep Bojan because that's just a really bad trade offer. That's just my opinion on it, and I'm not really too high on Beverly or a protected first round pick that's, 4 or 5 years down the line, right? We don't know what the Lakers will be. So that's just my take on the draft pick section of the article. Now, Johnny Davis. Now, this is... It's such an interesting name drop by Bleacher Report because I thought that Washington really wanted to push for the playoffs, right? They want to go all in for the playoffs. They got Bradley Beal, they got Kyle Kuzma, they got Kristaps. They have a good young team around them. I don't think that they would trade Johnny Davis because he is contributing for them right now. Now, obviously, he's not the Benedict Mathurin or the Shaden Sharp out of his draft class. I know none of you guys were really talking about Johnny Davis. All I saw was Benedict Mathurin and Shaden Sharp if Jaden Ivey wasn't there at 5. And I think a lot of you guys really like those guys. I didn't see too many of you guys talking about Johnny Davis. And I personally think an asking price for him right now would be extremely high just because he did get drafted this past year. And I think Washington is trying to compete for the playoffs, and they probably would want, probably a future first or a younger player that's a similar skill set to Johnny Davis. I just don't think that the Pistons should do that. And I think he's a player that, he's a nice player, but I just think the asking price for him would be too high. James Bouknight, on the other hand, I think that you could possibly get away with, and here's why. Charlotte right now, they're not a rebuilding team, but they're one of the worst teams in the East, much like your Detroit Pistons, and we did beat them last night in overtime. But Charlotte's biggest problem right now is they're missing Miles Bridges. And Miles Bridges was a big impact player for the Hornets. They don't even play James Bouknight, and I don't understand why. I don't know if it's an attitude problem. I don't know if it's the off-the-court issues. He did have some off-the-court issues this past summer. I don't know if those charges did get dropped, but if they did, it would be a player that would be extremely interested in. I was very high on James Bouknight out of Cade Cunningham's draft class. I thought he was one of the better shooting guards out of this draft class, and he's just a really great one-on-one scorer. I would love to pair him in the backcourt with Cade Cunningham. I think it would be a really fun backcourt to watch. Hell, if you traded for him right now, him and Killian Hayes would be a really fun backcourt to watch. I think that they're just him as a player, I think would add a different element at the shooting guard position. Now, I do love Jaden Ivey, I really do, but I just think he's just playing shooting guard right now because we don't really have a shooting guard outside of Alec Burks, and I think KC likes to keep Burks off the bench to kind of give him a spark plug off the bench. But I think eventually this is a really hard conversation Pistons fans have to have with themselves is Jaden Ivey is not a shooting guard. Naturally he's a point guard, but he's playing the shooting guard position. And I think eventually the Detroit Pistons are going to have to see who is our shooting guard of the future. Now, if you think you can develop Jaden Ivey into a shooting guard, then hey, go for it by all means. But I think if you want to take a flyer on a shooting guard right now in James Bouknight, you could probably get him for a pretty low price because Charlotte is just not playing him at all, and I just don't understand why. But that's just my thoughts on the whole James Bouknight name drop in this Trade Targets article. But I want to know what you guys think of this article. Would you be interested in the Johnny Davis? Would you be interested in flipping our veterans for draft picks? Would you be interested in James Bouknight? Let me know down below in the comment section. I will talk to you guys down there. Like always, hope you guys are staying safe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.